afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this week's webinar. We'll give it a few minutes for people to transition from their previous meeting, and then we'll jump straight in. So this week's webinar is on the Power Platform Centre of Excellence. So a little bit of a slide deck one today. So I've put myself in front of the presentation. So hopefully you can all see me, and I'm in the standout mode on Teams. So I'm just going to go very quickly through the agenda. So the first agenda item, we'll just do a bit of an introduction to Icotech, as we always do. And then we'll do a scene setting introduction into the Power Platform and just discuss what that is in a nutshell. And because this one's about the Centre of Excellence in the Power Platform, I think it's worthwhile just recapping or touching base on what is a Centre of Excellence, because it can be applied to lots of other applications, processes, environments, or problems across industry. And then we'll talk about the Power Platform Centre of Excellence specifically, and we'll touch base a little bit on our approach at Icotech Services to implementing or supporting the Power Platform implementation. But I don't want to go into it in too much detail because it'll sound a bit like a sales pitch. So I just want to go through really what the Power Platform is, and what the Centre of Excellence is in the Power Platform, and how Microsoft have kind of architected it and designed it really. To meet your requirements. So let's jump straight in. As always, these webinars are recorded. They're available on our YouTube channel. So if you could follow us or subscribe to us on YouTube, that would be much appreciated. We are trying to grow our user base on YouTube, and we do submit or publish a lot of good content up on there on that YouTube channel. And also, if you haven't already, please do follow us on LinkedIn and the other social platforms that we're on as well. Believe it or not, we have a round table that's actually on Spotify. So if you're a Spotify user, you can search for Icotech, and we do have a channel on Spotify, so you can listen to myself and Giles talk through our round tables as well. So yeah, can't quite believe that we're on Spotify, but yes, if you want to learn more, get more involved with the 365 technology stack, then please do feel free to follow us on those channels. So just a bit about me. My name is Joel Markham. I'm the CEO and founder of Icotech Services. Just about kind of where my background was, started in Welsh Water, Duke Cymru Welsh Water, where I was a project management officer or project support officer at the time. I did a short stint in Lloyds Banking Group as a project manager, and then I left and I went on to Babcock, and I ended up being the head of projects and governance. But before that, I spent 5 years doing various project portfolio management roles across Babcock. And then I went over to Companies House, and that's when Icotech really started. Companies House was our first customer, and I was a consultant over in Companies House, and I helped them head up the P3 team over in Companies House. So Icotech now, a couple of years later, is now grown to deliver a number of services to Bays, ONS, Betty's and Taylors, DEFRA, a pharmaceutical company, IPO, ACAS, and a number of other customers as well across here in the UK, both public and private sector organisations. Really what we do is broken down to 4 component parts. So the solutions, which are building business specific solutions using the Power Platform technology and 365, and they could be anything from ideas, hubs, to corporate risk management systems, to lesson learned systems, to improvement systems as well, and improvement applications, all the way through to project portfolio management solutions as well. We've got a small number of products that you can procure from us that are SaaS products that are predefined applications built to deliver a specific user need, and then you've got services as well. So some of our customers who we've built applications for, they need us on hand for support and iterating on those services that we've built them in partnership. So if they get stuck with changing fields or create a new visualization, or for some reason they've changed something which has broken the system, then we're on hand to help them and to fix it and put it back to where it was before. So we've got a lot of our customers now in that kind of support and iteration cycle. And then consulting is really everything else. So requirements, transformational program delivery. So actually letting the technology embed into the organizations is really key for us. So, we could build the technology, we could build the solutions, but are the customers using it? Are the users gaining value from this technology is really important to us. So doing the change or implementing the change in the right way is really important. And that's where the consultant team will come in, capture requirements, do your user testing, do your process mapping, and make sure the technologies that we're building is actually delivered efficiently and proficiently into an organization, and the users are seeing value from that technology. So we're a Microsoft Gold partner, and we're a Gold partner specializing in everything project portfolio management. So kind of project online, a project for the web, project operations, and project desktop as well. Then we specialize in Power Apps, so we can build model-driven apps, all those other Power App technologies, and Power BI data and Dynamics 365 as well. We do have kind of technical resources and capability in OneDrive, Power Automate, Teams, SharePoint, Exchange, all the other myriad of applications that are available within Microsoft 365. We cover here, but our focus areas are on as I showed you on the slide before. So, as I said at the top of the call, Power Platform Center of Excellence, probably worthwhile just double checking and sharing what that kind of the Power Platform is and what it consists of. So I thought it'd be good just to do an overview of this and to show you the kind of 4 key components of the Power Platform. So they are the 4 key components are Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents. So Power BI is a data visualization tool, and it allows you to analyze data in a visual way to make informed decisions. And Power Apps, some people see that as a kind of a dashboard creation tool, but to us it's much more of a way of thinking, a way of operating, and I'll come on to discuss that in a bit more detail later on. Power Apps then is application development, building applications using different types of Power Apps to meet the customer's needs. And then Power Automate is almost the glue. If I was going to rewrite this diagram, I'd put Power Automate in the middle of everything in some way, because Power Automate connects processes, it connects stages, and it really connects systems as well. It's about taking records or data from one place to another, either through a Power App to an email. So we use Power Automate, for example, in IcoHub here. When you arrive 10:30, you get a notification saying, have you arrived? Are you sitting on the desk that you've booked? Yes, in an email. That's all driven by Power Automate. All right. But it's linked to a Power App in the background, and then it's linked to Power BI, so we can see who's been in IcoHub at what days in the week, for example. So Power Automate is really riddled throughout everything that you see there on the screen. Power Virtual Agents is probably the least prevalent and the least used product within the Power Apps technology in our customer base. It is very much a virtual agent and a chatbot, so it's very much a Q&A type approach where you can surface that on your website, or you can surface it on your intranet page, but asking that Power Virtual Agents, where are the board minutes for last month, or where do you store your health and safety policy, those type of questions. You can use AI, robotic process automation, to automatically answer or define the answers that agent gives the user to point them in the right direction. So some really cool stuff in that space, and that's the 4 products that are available as part of the Power Platform. All that sits on the common data service, was actually now called Dataverse, and it all has AI building capability plugged into it, and then it all utilizes the connectors, the myriad of connectors that are available. You can Google search the number of connectors that are available. There's thousands now. And they are predefined connections which you can log into the external service. So you can log into G Suite or kind of Xero, LinkedIn, and all those other services as well with a simple authentication code, and then you can connect those 2 systems together to transact and push and pull data between each other. So the level of integration here is pretty phenomenal, and it's really exciting to see that the kind of the technology you can utilize in businesses, especially in our customer base as well. So yeah, that's the summary of the Power Platform. We're just going to go through one by one just to visualize exactly what they are. But this is a Power BI dashboard on the screen here. So this is an assurance report as an example. But it's the type of, it just shows you what you could do with Power BI. So creating your drop downs, creating your donuts and your funnels and your tables, and when you click on one of those kind of donuts or sections there, the whole chart will update automatically, and it just makes it aesthetically pleasing to step through your problems and your challenges. So you're able to use the data to draw insights, to analyze, and then to visualize that data as well. So you're not doing it in boring pivot tables. You're able to kind of paint these pictures. And at Company's House, we were using Power BI to track benefits, so to visualize the tracking of benefits that were managed in a different system. But we were very easily and quickly able to see the highest category of benefit being delivered across the organization, and how much money or how much time it was saving. And being able to stand up in front of the board with that Power BI dashboard or something similar to that representation there on a big screen, and be able to interact with that and answer questions from the board, and be able, that might be, okay, so how much benefit have we delivered in the operational department? Well, you could click on the operational part of the donut and all of it would update, and you'd be able to answer that question. That's the ethos and the theory behind Power BI. All right, so it's a really, really great, I'm trying not to say powerful, but it's a really great tool. So here's just another example. These are some kind of Power BI dashboards in the Project Online content pack. So if you didn't know, you can download content packs from GitHub now, or Google. Just Google like a Power BI content pack, and it'll download to your desktop, and then you can connect with your authentication to Project Online or SharePoint or whatever it may be, and you can almost use the templated reports that are available. Not always perfect, because not all systems are the same, but it's a really good starter for 10. If you didn't know that was there, encourage you to go and have a look at that. But here's just another example of some different visualizations that you can use. You can see there's a heat map right by there. Can I do that finger? There's a heat map right by there, where this is about resources. This is looking at over and under allocation, and then there's some more examples of diagrams on the top of that slide there, for the donuts and the bar charts as well. All right. So the next one is the Power BI, I guess, is split into different services. So you've got the desktop version, which you can go and download for free. You can log in and you can go and create your dashboards, or you can use the online service. So Power BI service, which is an online environment, more for enterprise organizations, where you're building a Power BI visualization and then you're publishing it to a workspace, and then you're able to share that Power BI report with a number of users with limited permissions. So to stop the user going in and changing the filter, or changing the kind of visualization, or changing the icon or the drop down, the end users going into a dashboard on a workspace in 365, and they're receiving that data rather than building and manipulating that data. All right, and then you've got Power BI mobile app. So I love the Power BI app on my phone. It's brilliant. You want to be able to see where your customers are. You want to be able to see your cases, and you can just log on your mobile app if you're as sad as me and work late at night and watching TV, thinking about what your customers are up to, or some statistics. You can log on to the app on your mobile phone using the 365 credentials and just see see that data in a graphically understandable way on your phone, which is really great. Then you've got some of the really kind of enterprise grade services in a Power BI. So you've got the report building services, paginated reports in a Power BI sense, and then you've got the on-prem server as well. So if you didn't want to utilize the cloud, potentially maybe sensitive information, or you've got a reporting server, then you could do enterprise reporting deployments using Power BI as well. So every system connected into one data lake, and then using Power BI to extract and report on all those services, which is a really advanced feature. Power BI apps as well. So if you didn't know, you can go onto the App Store, or the store within Power BI for apps. Yeah, got it right. And you can buy or download predefined Power BI apps. So these are a combination of dashboards, reports, and charts, and they're bundled together. And they're almost like another template, another version of a template. So if you had a YouTube channel, you can see the icon on the screen there. You can download the Power BI app for YouTube, and then you can connect it with the YouTube channel, and it'll give you some standard out of the box templates, etc. So the next thing then is the workspace, and I talked about this earlier. So this is about publishing a Power BI report to a workspace to allow you to collaborate with other users across your organization, maybe the finance team, the HR team, or the project team, and you can control who could do what. So whether the user's got read-only access to that report, or whether they've got editable access to that, or they're the admin of that report or that workspace. So you can collaborate with those users, and you're able to control who does what on those dashboards. And many organizations that we work with will have hundreds of workspaces for different teams, different resources, and hundreds of dashboards to meet the requirements of the specific business unit or team that they're in. All right. Power BI then, so the second one in that summary slide earlier on. So Power Apps is a kind of application development technology using low code, no code technology. So it's stitching together component parts of the Power App technology. It used to be the technology that was used to run Dynamics 365 CRM. So it has really good kind of history and technology built within it, but now it's being made available to citizen developers, where we're able to build these applications very quickly with no code. So we're not customizing applications, we're configuring applications, and there's a distinct difference there for us. And we're able to pull those records into one place, different applications, and take those records through those journeys. There's a couple of different types of Power Apps, which we'll come on to in the next few slides. But the Power App technology allows you to quickly build these applications and connect them to the data as well. So the data doesn't have to stay in the application. We can connect, put a Power App over a SharePoint list, for example. So the data is stored in a SharePoint list, and you just want to see that in a better way. You could build a Power App or a Canvas app to overlay a better skin on top of that SharePoint list. And you can do that as well. If you're in the new version of SharePoint, you can click on the Power Apps drop down, and you can click Canvas app, and it connects those data pools together. All right, so it's all about quickly building these applications. I talked earlier about I mentioned the different types of Power Apps, and there's 3 at the moment. There's a Canvas app, there's the Portal app, and then there's the model-driven app. All right, so there's 3 types of apps that you can use in the Power App space. The Canvas app is almost, as it says on the tin, it's a blank canvas. So you go into Power Apps, you can create a new app, and it's a Canvas app, and it'll be a blank skin. So you can then put your buttons on there. You can put your pictures or your toggles or your views of data. You could do a whole number of things in a Canvas app, and you're much more free to be able to design that how you wish. On the right hand side then is the model driven app, and that's the kind of example that I showed very briefly on the slide earlier on, which is much more about records. It looks a lot like SharePoint, but with a navigation bar on the left hand side, but better, of course. And that allows you to record hundreds of thousands of records in a system in a modular approach. And you've got your columns, and you've got your kind of your rows of data, and then your forms as you go into a record. So much more. You can't make the big new button big and yellow. You can't make it bigger. You can't without really trying to without stretching the system. It's designed to look and feel as it does as a model-driven app. Portals is a externally facing application. So Portals is when you want to connect your customer, your user with your system, your Power App that you've built internally in 365, and you want to surface that externally as an extranet almost. So you can log on to that technology using kind of authentication like LinkedIn, Facebook, Microsoft Authenticator as well. So if you've got a Microsoft 365 account, you can log on to that, create your own little sign-in page, and then it's a website effectively. So you can put your buttons along the top, and you can put your kind of invoices in the middle, or your Q&A on the left-hand side, and the navigation. It's about creating a website really where you can interact with high volume users, so thousands of users at any one time. And kind of share those invoices or milestones or project plans or surface Power BI dashboards as well. So a lot of the customers we work with have a model-driven app for internal, a Canvas-driven app for mobile or tablet services, and then when they want to talk to their external customers, they want to submit a work package to somebody who's not inside the 365 environment, they'll use a portal then to do that. So their third party contractor might log on to their portal, log in with their Microsoft account, but the customer we're working with is submitting a work package out to that portal to say, you need to do this piece of work over the next 3 months, this is the budget and all that kind of stuff. And then the third party is using that portal to update, which is then in turn updating the project portfolio management system in the center. That kind of usage. And then maybe the project manager's on their phone late at night, using their Canvas app to maybe take a picture of a receipt or something like that. So the next few slides are just going into a deeper dive really on the technology, the different types of apps. So Canvas apps, you can see here, is much more intuitive. Because it's a Canvas app, myself included, often think it's just for mobile phone, but it's not. It can be used on a tablet and it can be used on a PC. It's just more designed for mobile and tablet interfaces. You can also embed the Canvas app into a SharePoint site as well. So if you wanted to create an app that was intuitive that you could then embed into a SharePoint page, and it's a little kind of app within a bigger screen, then you can do that using the Canvas app technology. Sorry, I've just pressed the button which I didn't mean to press on my side. Here we go. So model-driven apps, again, this is an example of that model-driven app. You can see it's very kind of record-based. It's got charts, it's got sections, it's got business process flows, but it can be used on a mobile. So if you download the Dynamics 365 app from the app source on a device, you can access the model-driven app, and this is what it looks like on the screen here. So you can use it on a mobile device. You just can't change the form factor and the design of the application itself. And then portals, again, you can access it using a desktop PC, a tablet PC, or a mobile, but it's a website. It's you're able to customize how these buttons look and feel, and the menus available within them. Data flows. This is a great new technology that we've started using more so at Architect Services. This is about pulling data from different systems into a data pool within the Power Platform, and then interrogating that data when it sits in the common data service, or the Dataverse as now it's called. So using data flows, we can connect data from like an SQL database, or an Access database, or even a kind of a Google Sheet, or major systems like SAP, Oracle, and IFS, for example. We can pull those data records from those services overnight at 1 o'clock in the morning, say, for example, chuck it into the data lake, and then in Power BI the next day, you're kind of using Power BI to refresh and to kind of visualize that data that's sitting in a data lake, that's recorded, stored, and it's not kind of impacting live performance of systems. And you can also transform that data when it's in that data lake as well. So that's a really exciting piece of technology that you have available to you in the Power App space. Power Automate. So again, as I mentioned earlier on, this is about creating workflows or connecting processes together. So this is a simple kind of approval example where you've got a line manager is approving a holiday request, for example, and you've got a yes or no. You're creating these branches of decisions and what if scenarios, and then changing the record status. It allows you just to automate everything. As I mentioned at the top of the call, being able to book a desk in iCloud and then have an email at 10:30 saying, have you arrived? Yes, no. It's a way of automating processes to improve the data or to achieve an outcome in your Power Platform technology. The next one is Power. Actually, sorry, that's a slide that I should have hired. The next one is Power Virtual Agents. So Power Virtual Agents is, I'm not going into too much detail, but it as I explained earlier, it's that automation, kind of using AI and being able to design the Q&A that goes on between the user and the virtual agent in the Power Platform technology. You can see it looks and feels exactly like a Power App, and it's using the same low-code, no-code technology to build those workflows. And we have seen it being used with kind of public sector organizations where they're pushing this out into an intranet where staff members are able to then ask questions to the virtual agent, and then it allows them to signpost to different content on their website or whatever it may be, different policies that are stored, and so on and so forth. You could even use this to log ideas or to log project questions, which then get attributed or logged against a project in a project management solution as well. Okay, so the next one then is, what is a center of excellence? So doing some research on this over the last couple of weeks, we obviously we deploy Power Platform Center of Excellence across Architect. But a center of excellence is a team, a shared facility, or an entity that provides leadership, best practices, research, support, or training for a focus area. So you could have a center of excellence in anything, really, in any part of your business or your organization. But in this example, it's obviously the Power Platform, but you could have a business concept or a skill or a broad area of study as well. So as I say, it doesn't have to be particularly in the Power Platform. Another example of what is a center of excellence is a body in an organization that works across business units or product lines within a BU that has a leading edge knowledge or competency in that area. So it's comprised of highly skilled individuals and experts to disseminate knowledge in an organization and share best practices. And then the third example or third definition of a center of excellence is a premier organization providing exceptional product or services in an assigned sphere of expertise. All right, so it's the same thing, just regurgitated in different ways. But for us, it's really about taking a team of people, both internally in an organization or externally, and creating a service, creating that knowledge bank, and making those critical decisions, and being the leaders in that technology, and providing that service for the organization to consume in a safe and governed way. And that center of excellence could be done internally 100%, it could be done externally 100%, or in our opinion best done as a hybrid where you've got experts in different areas, and the business working together to collaboratively build that center of excellence. But center of excellence, typical areas of the center of excellence team. So they're really kind of the pillars of a COE. So best practice, so providing support and direction on the technology, and then the kind of tools, the processes, the methodologies in that knowledge center then. So best practice is really to the heart of a COE. The support, so really giving the policies, the training, the templates, and the communication. So whenever a new feature comes out in the Power Platform, being able to distribute that to the COE members or the administrators or users of that platform is really important. And then measurement, so using the defined performance measurements, so analyzing the results, including the return on investment as well, is important. So how much is this platform costing us? What's the benefit of this platform? Who's using the platform? What are the risks on the platform? And what are we doing to improve those things? So getting the KPIs out of the technology is really important, and one of the key pillars of a COE. And then, as I mentioned earlier, training. So allowing users to use that technology, but in a controlled way. So not allowing users just to freely access the Power Platform and just create reports and create dashboards and create automation that could do something damaging. It's giving people the skills to be able to go and consume that technology and then make something powerful and useful out of it without damaging the system. In previous life, in a previous life, was working with an organization that had a SharePoint center of excellence, and the SharePoint center of excellence was predominantly there to show and to extract the value from SharePoint, and you weren't allowed to be a site customizer until you went on a training course. And that training course was an e-learning training course, and it was click through. It was quite simple, but it just gave the COE the ability to say, look, this is how we want you to work on SharePoint, and it's exactly the same with Power Platform. So creating those training programs, and the retraining of developers or citizen developers as the technology is improved as well, because this stuff is evergreen. It's continually changing. Even at Architect, we are noticing things changing daily in that technology platform. New buttons, new fields, new ways of working. So being able to keep up to date with that technology change and then roll it out through continual training is really important. The next pillar is the technology pillar. So that's all about standards, technology standards. So who the vendors, what are the kind of the settings, what are the date formats, all the kind of DLP policies, and all the governance that sits around that. And again, that links to the last bullet point there, which is governance, providing an oversight on access, usage, performance, data management, and retention. So what information is being stored in these systems? Is it sensitive? Is it GDPR compliant? Does it have to be retained for a certain amount of time? All those policies need to be put in place at the COE level to make sure that you're not, exposing yourself or the organization or the users to risk. All right. That is what we believe the pillars and the typical areas of a COE, particularly in the Power Platform. Of course, as I mentioned earlier on, you could apply a COE to anything really. So obviously those pillars or those areas of expertise in a COE for maybe a financial team or a function or a service might be totally different. But for the Power Platform, that's what we see the pillars being. So that's the kind of what is a Centre of Excellence and what is it in our experience. The Power Platform Centre of Excellence then, I wanted to show this page because this is one of the images that scares the hell out of me. So when you kind of look at the Power Platform starter kit and the Centre of Excellence starter kit, you get this god-awful image slide, which is difficult to interpret and do anything with. So really, the Centre of Excellence from a Power Platform perspective, we've broken down for you on this slide. So really, it's to help you develop and adopt the technology in the Power Platform, and it's focusing on the Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents as well. And the Power Platform Centre of Excellence technology or kit doesn't really focus on Power BI. It more utilizes Power BI to enable the Centre of Excellence, and I'll come on to show that a bit later on. But there's four main parts of the COE kit effectively, and that's the overview. So it's about defining your goals, your expected outcomes of your COE. And again, just to reference, no two COEs are ever the same. One organization might have a different objective and a different goal versus another. Might have different priorities and different pain points. So, but it's important to start at the overview and the strategic level. Then you've got the administrative side or the admin side of the COE kit, and that allows you to gain insights into the Power Platform adoption. And again, I'll come on to show you that a bit later on. Then you've got the govern side. So govern, this is about establishing audit, compliance, and policy. As I mentioned earlier, this is about kind of your data loss prevention policies, your users, your security, your permissions, your tables, what is sensitive information, and the compliance of the platform against those policies that you want to go and write. And then the fourth part is the nurture part. So this is accelerate your adoption and get in the community of makers, although I call them citizen developers, but Microsoft like to call them makers. But yeah, they're people that are in the business that are effectively building these applications for you, and they're doing them themselves as a standalone application. And it's much like an analogy that was quite good to hear and discuss a couple of weeks ago from another conversation I was having, was that Excel is a system, Excel is a tool, and we all download Excel from 365 and we all build complex spreadsheets, right? And we've all got macros and we've all got little things, crazy lookups and crazy pivot tables in an Excel spreadsheet. And some of the Excel spreadsheets I've seen, they're monolithic. But and if it breaks, who do you ring? You can't really ring anybody because you built it, right? So it's the same analogy here, where you've got an end user's building a Power App, and it's almost if it breaks and you can't fix it, you go to Google, you go to a friend, a colleague, or somebody who might be expert in Excel to help you fix that macro or fix that lookup or whatever it might be. Power Apps is the same, and it will be the same in the future. You'll have the makers, the citizen developers building these applications, and they will be isolated applications that are just meeting their specific business need. If they break, they fix them. On the other side of the spectrum, you'll have enterprise grade applications, which are critical applications that are built in a governed way. So they've got a dev, test, live environment, and the range in between is quite vast. So you've got to have the Centre of Excellence for Power Platforms got to have an approach for allowing the lower end and the higher end of the spectrum there in terms of complexity and governance and control and everything in between. Be utilized as much as possible. And there's a lot of work that goes into structuring that. Okay, what does a critical application look like? It might be user numbers, it might be data, it might be kind of importance, criticality to the business. So you've got to create that framework as part of the COE, and that's a lot of conversation, a lot of dialogue, a lot of discussion, a lot of workshops, and a lot of writing it down into a policy. Okay, so the Power Platform COE from a Microsoft and an architect perspective is broken into two parts really. This is where we see kind of the focus needing to be, and then later on I've overlaid the four component parts, or three component parts, sorry, of the Microsoft kind of content that overlays into that Power Platform Center of Excellence. So we see that broken down into three different parts. So there's people, processes, and systems. All right. So the people is really looking at the capability within the organization. So referencing the training, but looking at the developers or the makers in that organization and identifying the people in HR, the people in IT, or the people in finance who are technically capable of building these applications and getting them together, getting them in the community, meeting with them monthly, and then sharing best practices, and then devising or designing those training courses with them to say, you have access to this technology, you can go and build these applications, but doing it in the correct way, to allow the self-developers to learn and to utilize the technology appropriately, of course. And then it's processes. So you've got to be able to define the processes for environments, for tenants, for applications, and for user requirements being developed. So if you've got an application being built by a financial controller in finance, and that is maybe a purchase order system or a reconciliation system, then it's allowing them to log a request quickly to say, I want to build this app, it's meeting this threshold, I'm going to go and do it, but I'm just letting you know that it's there. And it's then all the way through to, I need a new enterprise CRM system or enterprise HR system, and this is the threshold. So it's designing your process in your COE for the Power Platform, for how you can get changes and requests through a systematic process. And then, of course, it's the technology. So, I've done this wrong now. I have to move over to this side of the side. I don't know if that works. So you can set up your environments. So lots of organizations that we work with at the moment have different environments, and environments with different things as well. And it's about organizing that and structuring that. Is it a critical information? Is it a business unit specific, or is it end user specific? We don't really need to worry about it. And what's the overall objectives of that Power Platform environment? And what are some of the parent or higher level controls that are available in that technology? So what connectors would you allow your citizen developers to use? What connectors won't you allow them to use? We've had stories where premium connectors are being used and they're racking up a significant cost, and nobody's really aware of that. Not often, but it does happen. For the more realistically, you are potentially getting data from one system that might be personally identifiable or sensitive, and then sharing with another system that then somebody else has access to, and you can see the level of control needs to be put in place there. All right, so that's how kind of Icotech will approach these implementations of Power Platform Center of Excellence. But then what we do is obviously take the Microsoft kit and overlay that, and really that's when it becomes a true COE. We've got the three building blocks of the Microsoft technology COE there. So they talk about the core part, the core building block of the COE, and governance and the nurture as well. So I'll just go into some summarizations of what these are. So the core is about a set of admin apps. So this is actually giving the user or the COE a set of apps that they can use to control the apps. It's literally having a power app that says, how many apps have you got in your system, who are they, who's using them, and so on and so forth. And you can set settings, permissions in the Power App for administrative users as part of the core solution, and those administrators are able to go into Power Apps, the admin app, and then be able to make those changes to all the other subsequent applications in the Power Platform environment. All right, and then you've got, as part of their nurture and their kind of nurture application. It's around the best practices and templates. So it's creating an app where you can store all those training materials. You can see what users are going through, what training. Maybe you do. There's some rags in there where you're able to see this user has created an app, but they're not compliant. They're not a developer. They haven't gone through the course, for example. So that's where there's a solution there already within Power Platform as part of the Center of Excellence that we can use and turn on. And then the governance app is all around the audit compliance of processes. So what connectors are being used, how many times are they being used, maybe who's using them and what geographical location are they in, all those kind of attributes that you can report on. So I started to write more slides, and then I thought I'm probably going to bore you with death by PowerPoint. So I thought I'd just show you the outcome of the COE kit and just what it actually looks like, because I think it's more, it makes more sense when you see these, in my opinion. So this is the overlay of the Power BI. I referenced earlier that Power BI is used in the Center of Excellence Power Platform kit for the extraction of the information, the data. So this is a Power BI report, and it's really showing you 3 towers there. You've got the govern tower, you've got the nurture tower, and then you've got the monitor tower, the kind of control and governance in that space. But you click on each of those tiles and you're able to drop down into some dashboards, and I'll just give you some examples of those here. So this is the other Power BI report then as part of this pack. So this is all about your environments. So this is saying we've got 118 environments in this example, right? I mean, 118 environments sounds a lot. If you're just starting out a Center of Excellence, you're probably more likely to have 10 or 8, not 118. But when you get to that point where you've got a large scale organization rolling out thousands of applications on Power Apps, and you are going to have lots of environments, and you're going to have to do health checks on each of those environments and understand who's using them, who's accessing them, and the other kind of metrics and reports out of that platform, really. And then this is talking about teams. So this is actually where I found about the teams data service. So this is talking about your instances, your environments for teams, how many apps are being built within the teams environment. So as we all know, you can build a mini app in Teams that is in the Power Platform, but you're doing it through the Teams user interface. So again, it's showing you all the data and all the information, monitoring the usage of those applications. And then this is the apps themselves. So in this example, there's 885 applications. All right, so huge number of applications here, and you're needing to, it's giving you the data on who's using them, the usage of them, so which ones are more used than others, and the status of those as well. So you can imagine the Center of Excellence kind of super users are effectively using this data, which is taken from the Power App platform, and then making informed decisions on how are we going to govern this, how are we going to control this in the future. And then the last slide I just wanted to use to visualize this stuff is all around the flow. So I talked earlier about Power Automate and how we use Power Automate to connect services together. So in this example, there's 1,246 Power Automate flows. And you can imagine the amount of data that's being transmitted across the environment using that solution, that technology. So this is just an output of some of the kind of data flows that are in the Power Platform to allow you to govern and control the setup of this technology. So I've been talking for 45 minutes straight. I'm sure, yeah, I hope you find it useful. Have you got any questions at all? Yeah, it does. It does. It sits on the common data on the Dataverse, Mohammed, and then it'll it's reporting on, in this example, in that example, that was reporting on all the apps in your environment. But the point is that those dashboards were just a visual representation of what you can get out of a Center of Excellence. There's so much more in that Center of Excellence than just those dashboards. It's the governance, it's the processes, it's the controls, all those things around the outside that the COE needs to design in order to make that useful. Because that's the kind of the example, but every COE that we're involved with has a different set of dashboards. So because they're all using the system in a different way. Hope that makes sense. But it does cover Canvas apps in Teams as well, because as I said, when you create a Canvas app in Teams, you're creating a Power App. You're just doing it through Teams in a better usable way. Yes, I believe they do, although that's a good question. License. I will double check, and Mohammed, I'll get back to you on that. I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah, you can that like Katie, that dashboard there is like the content pack for COE. I would say it is quite hard to interpret and to deploy it, but if you want some help with that, just let us know. You can go to Microsoft's website and just like those dashboards are an example from the COE starter kit for Power Platform. But as I said, it needs a lot of thinking around the outside of the governance and the structure and the design of that. But if you are interested in building a Power Platform COE, then I'm more than happy to jump on a call later next week or whatever, just to discuss it in more detail with the team here. Think that is robotic process automation is RPA in that context. If it is, then robotic process automation in Power Automate is very, very powerful. And so you can connect it to SAP. So you can do SAP transactions with Power Automate, but being a Microsoft partner, I'm probably not the best person to ask on Power Automate with SAP. But because if I'm honest, we've never done it here. We've connected with an SAP environment for purchase orders and requisition requests. So bringing data from SAP into Power Platform, that's fine. But a robotic process automation with SAP is not something I am familiar with, if I'm totally honest. So yeah, but it is robotic process automation. We've got a video on that as well on our YouTube channel. So feel free to jump on there and have a look. But yeah, great tool. It is really, really powerful. Katie, just want to say thanks for joining, much appreciated. So as I said at the top of the call, you can follow us on Spotify, you can follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. I mean, yeah, if you really want to follow us on all those, then thank you very much. But if you've got any questions, then do feel free to email us at info@architectservices.co.uk or drop me an email directly. No problem at all. Or give us a call and we'll be able to help you with any query you've got around Power Platform and the Center of Excellence.